Maxim, when he was first putting this together last year and then this year, said, hey, I'd love for you to talk about something that's an inspirational level. And we were discussing about just different ways to work, Evernote and the like. And for me, mind mapping became just this huge way I work. And with that being said, let's take a look at some slides here then. So I just want to get beyond the words here, and let me hide myself if I can manage to do that. Oh, I did that wrong. Put that back where it was. Okay, that's better. Scale that down so I can see what's going on. Okay, I meant to do this. Hide me. There we go. So we're talking beyond taking notes. And I think everybody saw, we've looked a lot at this web page, and this is a nice web page. Don't get me wrong. I think it's super crazy important that we've got a list of it. But I went through this into some mind mapping. I found this to be a lot more useful about the way I could see what was going on in the event. And in fact, a little bit further than that, I went and looked at film and television. Wow, that was really just way too much. And so I turned around and broke it down like this, and it became way more visual. And that's really the end of the real concept, the end of the real day here for me. Mind mapping is a visual way of me handling information. We all talk about the fact that we're visual thinkers, how we organize. I've written books with this. I've created films with this. I've organized teaching with this. This is just my lifeblood here. And sort of where I'm going to go is some self-history. I'm going to talk some case uses of this. We're going to even try if we can manage it, a creative exercise or two. And free tools and not. And of course, I got to do the, hey, just a little bit of history of this stuff. It goes back about 800 years. There's a pop psychology author in the UK by the name of Tony Buzan. And I was just talking to Maeve before we got started. And she goes, oh yeah, I've been using mind mapping for years and years, from when I was in secondary school. I said, wow, I didn't get really started with it until post-college in a lot of ways. I consider mind mapping very much the way visual thinkers to take notes and outline. It's not just a list of stuff. And for this, I want to give you a little personal history. And I think this is a painful one. And this may say something about education styles and education methods. I remember vividly having awful all-nighters in high school, college, and middle school over writing an essay. And it was always the same thing. You had to give them an outline, and I didn't know what to put there. So I just wrote, with a thesis statement and a closing. And sometimes you got to hand it in with the essay. So I would write the essay first. Then I would come back, my outline would be perfect. I was good. And, I wasn't a bad planner. I just really, I was plagued by this. I didn't know how to put the information together in such a way beforehand. And this, has some parallels with a level of procrastination. It's a flavor of avoidance procrastination. It's dealing with something you don't know what to do next, which, it's also about pain, but this is the same sort of thing. The problem is we have so many ideas in our brain and not knowing how they go together. While I was in college, I had this great professor, and he said, hey, and I'm like 22, I dropped out, I go back to school. This professor turns to me and says, actually to the whole class, I wish it was just me. Because before you go and you write these essays, these blue book essays, and for those of you who are too young to know about what that is, God bless you. Said, I'm going to give you the question. Take a second, take a minute. You got 10 minutes to write each essay question. Take a minute, write down all the ideas in the bottom corner. It was like a light went off in my head. Suddenly, I was going from struggling to being able to write longer and longer work. We would typically, by the way, watch a film on a Tuesday, and we'd have 20 pages of information due on a Thursday. And this led me to mind mapping. And again, I'm fairly young at the time. I think I want to ask you this question here. What tools do you use as your creative outlet? Do you use a paintbrush? Do you use a pen? I just want to get some stuff in there. I use a lot of things. You can put in more than one item. Yeah, there we go. Type my answer here. A really nice pen. I see here, my author friend says, if you're a writer, you'll eventually create an outline. I'm going to say an outliner tool. I don't know if you're able to see this, a computer I saw show up there. I'm going to add another response. I'm going to put in pencil, actually pen. I'm a huge computer user. Yeah. Well, that was the thing. I got a professor who said to me the following: you've got to write with a pen. And I was kind of a little dumbfounded by it. I was an early technology user. I've been using a computer for now almost about 40 years. I touch type, and there's a huge reason for it. I get bad writer's cramp. I hold a pen funny. I hold a pencil funny. And the moment I could get my hands on a keyboard and work, I was fast. I actually had to ask permission of my instructors, could I bring a laptop into the classroom, because they hadn't seen it really before that. And this is when I went to Penn State. And once I could take a laptop into the classroom, I suddenly took every single creative writing class, every screenwriting class, because I could figure out, how to work. I couldn't professionally figure out how to make enough money not to starve as a writer. And I believe, I'm looking here, in the chat. Yeah, use whatever tool works for you is 1,000%. 1,000%. And this is one of my earliest mind maps. This is a creative solutions for the graphically challenged. And I was teaching people who are graphically challenged as editors in the early 2000s how to work this through. And I went from an outline and I started using mind mapping. So, I didn't ask if you're using mind mapping. I figure, if you're here at this talk, you're probably not using it much. Typical mind mapping uses. I want to sit back here. Let's see if I can get this one behind me right there. There's a whole bunch of really good uses of mind mapping. And the biggest one is right away for me, brainstorming. Is just the idea. And I want to tell you that, so the basic concept in all mind mapping is you start with a central topic and you start branching off of it. You totally could do this on a whiteboard, on a blank piece of paper. I'm digitally based. I'm nearly always working with this digitally. I'm going to show you this one, because I built this last night. We were trying to come up with a podcast for some color correction work. And I just started to do, list ideas. And as I've started to play with ideas, I started to realize, well, some of them were based on color. In fact, I'm just going to add something here as an idea. We'll say, call this alliterations. I'm just going to take the ones that are alliterations off of here, or a lot of them. I'm an alliteration sort of person. I'm just going to cut those and paste them. There we go. Over here, we've got funny. This is about color correction, by the way. Things like waveform warriors, the RGB crowd. You get this sort of idea. But brainstorming is one of my first and primary uses of mind mapping. And I want to tell you a certain key rule about all brainstorming, and I'm coming nice and big to tell you this. Never say no. Don't say something isn't possible. Whether you're brainstorming for yourself or brainstorming with a large group of people, the goal is to generate ideas, and you share all the ideas, even if you think the idea is dumb. Let's see where else we can go here. I want to do an exercise here. Instead of doing this we'll do this in chat. I'm going to bring up a mind map here, and I would like you to tell me what your creative outlet is. So whatever your creative outlet, I'd love to hear it. I'm going to bring up that particular talk. See how this works. This was the big question, is whether or not I could pull off this exercise here. There we go. So let's start seeing here if we've got creative outlets. Wow, computer writer's prompts. Oh, doing it there as well. I'm going to say a computer monitor. Creative outlet is a camera. My dear friend there, Alberto, doesn't even have to tell me. It's going to be a guitar. I'm going to sit back, and as I start putting these together, I realize that they can sort of have some organization. Let's also put in here a piano. I've got woodworking. If I could spell right. I have a soundboard. Painting. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to do something here. I'm going to create a physical relationship. Physical. I'm going to create a virtual. So I'm going to take writer's prompts and the computer monitor and the soundboard, and for the moment, cut those and paste them into virtual. I'm going to take the physical items here, woodworking, piano, guitar. Piano, be either way, camera. I'm going to put them in the physical. And I'm starting to see a pattern here. And this is very much the way that I begin to work with these sort of mind mapping tools. Is they're dynamic, they're fast, and they're letting me begin to examine a larger field. In this case, is a brainstorming. They can be used for organizing. We did the podcast name ones, creative outlet we did right here. I literally consider the idea of mind mapping is the step before the outline. And that's sort of, for me, my creative process. A couple of people have said in the chat, and I 100% agree with it, that whatever process works for you as a creative artist is great. The problem I have is when I can't see the field. I'm a very visual, creative person. And because of this, I think that outlines kind of are painful for me. But if I could take an outline and snap it into a mind map, well, suddenly I can work wherever I'm more comfortable. And sometimes I just want to create a list. And sometimes I want to switch it over to something visual. Before I'm done, by the way, I'm going to mention a couple resources. I'm going to tell you about the tool I'm using, but I'm also going to tell you of at least one free tool that you can open up in a browser and take your lists and turn them into mind maps super, super crazy quick. All right, organizing. I use this for stuckedness all the time. And what I mean by that, by stuckedness, is that when I get really stuck with a problem, I find that I'm procrastinating. I stop, I take a 10-minute or 15-minute Pomodoro level timer. I just set a timer to go, and Pomodoro is 25 minutes. 10 minutes is really safe. And all you got to do is write down why you're stuck. What excites you about that project? Or, what's this big problem you have in life? What's the big hurdle with it? The whole thing. What are your fears? You feel ashamed with creative projects or any project because you assume that you're supposed to know what to do. And my real core emphasis around mind mapping is, no, if you look at it from a writer's point of view, the book comes from the outline. For me, the mind map generates the outline. For me, when I have a level of stuckedness, is because I can't see the outline of the creative thing I'm trying to do, the problem I'm trying to cover. We're doing here at this event, we're doing a creative workshop. If you want to join us, it's a 15-second film. Maxim's been mentioning it, the keynotes, I'll cover it. But I sit back for each of these, and I spend 10 minutes to get over this level of stuckedness. You certainly can use it for note-taking. There's this one I have here on a project manager. Let's see if I can find that quickly enough. There we go. Become a great project manager. Is there a zoom here? Yeah, there you go. Fit map. There's a huge set of choices here, but I'm now at a point where I'm often with one of these open, and as I'm taking notes, I'm beginning to do a little bit of organization. Sometimes it's my refinement. I 1,000% use these for presentations. And when I say I use these for presentations, what I mean is I use it for complete preparation. This talk right here, this talk is a mind map. It's a giant, giant mind map here. Let's see if I can find that. Should be a creative outlet. There it is. And I just want to go ahead here and bring this. Oh, disappeared. There you go. Stop that. I hate computers. It just beats the hell out of ditch digging. That's twice it's done it to me. That's the key for it. Actual size. Okay. Not actual size. I want smaller. Command minus. There it is. Boom. Boom. These are all the things. We're somewhere. There was history. Who are you? Some of my case uses. Helps me see patterns. This is how I plan nearly every single creative talk I've ever given. I'm going to skip the exercise. What inspires you here? Other use cases or project management, studying, to-do lists. This is all stuff that's available to us. We'll skip this problem solving. I had a problem solving item based on our timing, and I've only got about 3 minutes, so I'm going to cut it out. By the way, it was going to be, how could you plan for travel delays? Just some real practical thoughts about this. We've talked about analog versus digital. I don't care. I have writer's cramp. It just hurts. My key requirements is that it's fast. I'm going to be digital. If you're analog, grab a whiteboard. You can always photograph it, use a pad of paper, but I'm looking for fast. And when I say fast, I open up a document, I type it, the enter key brings me to the next one, and the return key brings me to siblings. So it's enter key for a child, return key for siblings. I'm looking for something that lets me drag the arrangement around. Now, this is the most important concept I want to tell you here. The most important one. When you go and you evaluate tools, because I'll mention a couple tools, there are some out there that are free, some aren't. The single most important thing at the free tier, the first thing you go to look for is, can you export it as something other than a graphic? You need to be able to export it as a text list, or preferably in an XML or an OPML, some format that you can take to other software, especially if it's free. The tool I've been using the most is something called XMind. The things that I want is, I want something that's cross-platform. I have Macs, I have Windows. I want to be able to grab my Windows box and just live with whatever I was doing. I want it to work on mobile, whether it's my iPhone, whether it's my iPad. I would, of course, prefer no subscription like the rest of us. It's nice if it works on the web, but it's not crucial. This entire document, by the way, I'm going to post. You go to my website, there's a sign-up list. I'll show it to you at the end. I'll post it in the chat. You can contact me through the Creativity Conference. I'm happy to give you this whole talk. My favorite tool for people just want to play with it is called Text to Mind Map, and there's the link to it. This tool here literally is a web page, and I just want you to see what that web page looks like. Not Zoom. Oh, yeah, it's that one. It is part of that one. Where is that? Right here. No. Zoom. There it is. Text to mind map. And I'm just going to bring this over, and I'm just going to say, great resources. And then I'll put something like websites, tools. And you can see, just as I'm working, this self-generates. You can go up to the file menu. You can save this as a text list. You can retrieve it, and it's $0. It's free. And you could see it even better if my head wasn't right in the way. That's so much better. One more example. One more great usage. And you can just see that you can rearrange these as we go. Let's see. I'm paying for XMind. It's because it's cross-platform everywhere. If you're just in the Apple ecosystem, I would also suggest highly MindNode. Mindmapping.org has got a huge, like 200 some 43 tools. Wikipedia's list of mind mapping software has got some great items out there. I've got a creative challenge for you. You're at a creativity conference. You should do something creative. here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to pick any tool. You can use that text tool. I should probably paste it into the chat. I would if I could go back fast enough to it. Since I can't, I'll put it at the end. You pick a tool, you build a mind map about whatever you want, your creative process, the foods you love, what you're doing this weekend. You can send me a photo of it. You can send me how it made you feel through at mind map at J Greenberg Consulting. You can also do it in the chat of the Creativity Conference website. I want to just mention to you, just as a creative exercise, because we're almost at time. I'm doing this other workshop at this event where next week we're going to do a virtual screening, 15 seconds inspiration. You shoot a 15-second, really under a minute film. Just so you're aware of it, it's due as Monday. It's max as a minute. Use your YouTube format. There's a web page I have with resources at bit.ly, a submission there, 15-second CC info at bit.ly. And if you have any questions about it, and I'm going to make sure that there is a link to all this put on the Creativity website. Maeve, you're going to tell me I'm at 27 minutes. I've gone over by 2. And am I allowed to take any questions, or do I got to get the hell off stage?
I think we've got to move on, I'm afraid. But
that's okay.
As you say before, if anyone has any questions, you can go through Creativity Conference, I'm sure, and Jeff will be more than happy to answer them, I think.
I'll probably get Maxim to open up a topic about the 15-second film about mind mapping in case anybody's got any questions, anybody wants some greater depth and thought. My big thing with it is it's a tool. You need to use it for a while before you love or hate it. Thanks so much, Maeve. You were great.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I enjoyed that a lot.